Welcome to episode 20 of Pulse of Physiology. I'm your host, Dr. Jim Davis, and today we'll explore the fascinating process of hearing. The auditory system is a marvel of biological engineering which converts sound waves into electrical signals that the brain can interpret, such as music, speech, or environmental sounds. In the next episode, we'll dive into vision, but right now, let's talk about how we hear. Now, the ear is divided into three primary regions, each with a specific role in the hearing process. You have the external ear, which includes the auricle and the external auditory canal. The job of the external ear is to focus sound waves and direct them onto the tympanic membrane or eardrum. On the other side of the eardrum, we have the middle ear, which contains the ossicles, which are three tiny bones, sometimes referred to as the hammer, anvil, and stirrup, or by their more common names and appropriate names, malleus, incus, and stapes. The job of these three tiny bones is to amplify sound vibrations and transmit them to the oval window of the cochlea. So on the other side of the oval window, you have the inner ear, which includes the cochlea, which is a spiral-shaped organ that's filled with fluid called endolymph and lined with sensory cells that are hair cells. The job of the inner ear is to convert mechanical vibrations into electrical signal. Now the ear, not only does it contain the oval window, but there is a round window. So let me tell you about the function of each of those. So the oval window transmits vibrations from the stapes to the cochlea, whereas the round window relieves pressure from the cochlea after the sound waves have been processed. Now when it comes to sound, there are two primary properties, pitch and loudness. Pitch is determined by the frequency of sound waves, measured in hertz. High frequencies correspond to high-pitched sounds. Low frequencies can correspond to low-pitched sounds. Humans typically hear frequencies ranging from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Now, loudness, on the other hand, is determined by the amplitude of sound waves, and this is something we measure in decibels. And when we get to sound that is above 120 decibels, that can cause hearing damage pretty rapidly. Many of you likely have a smartwatch like an Apple Watch that will tell you if the environment you're in is too loud and how long it will take to cause damage. So be careful of that. So how does hearing occur? Well, there are several steps. So the first one is what we call sound wave collection. The external ear collects sound waves and channels them to the tympanic membrane, causing the tympanic membrane to vibrate. Now we need to amplify that vibration, and that's the job of the ossicles. So these ossicles in the middle ear amplify these vibrations and transfer them to the oval window. Now, vibrations at the oval window cause fluid movement in the cochlea. Because these vibrations create waves in the cochlear fluid, which move the basilar membrane. Now, the last part is the activation of hair cells. Now, hair cells on the basilar membrane are bent by fluid movement, causing mechanically gated ion channels to open. So potassium ions flow into the hair cells, generating a graded potential, which results in the release of the neurotransmitter glutamate. This ultimately stimulates cochlear nerve fibers, which send signals to the auditory cortex in the brain. Now I want to come back to pitch and volume. How do we distinguish either? Well, when it comes to pitch, different regions of the cochlea detect different frequencies. Hair cells near the base of the cochlea, which are close to the oval window, are short and stiff. They respond to high frequencies. I think of these as like a football player that is a fullback. Short, low center of gravity, going to take a lot of energy to knock them over. Hair cells near the apex of the cochlea are long and flexible, and they respond to low frequencies. I like thinking of these as tall and floppy, kind of like a tall basketball player like Kevin Durant or Victor Wembanyama. Okay, it would be relatively easy to tackle them because they're tall and floppy. Then we've got volume. Louder sounds create larger sound wave amplitudes, which cause more hair cells to activate. So if we activate more hair cells, then we're going to increase the frequency of action potentials on the cochlear nerve, which the brain will interpret as loud sound. Now, hair cells are sensory receptors for hearing, and they're classified as mechanoreceptors because they convert mechanical stimuli, in this case vibrations, into electrical signals. Damage to these cells, often caused by loud noise or aging, can lead to hearing loss. Now, understanding the auditory system helps in diagnosing and treating hearing disorders. Hearing aids amplify sound for individuals with mild to moderate hearing loss. Cochlear implants directly stimulate the auditory nerve in cases of severe hearing loss. And then there's noise-induced hearing loss. This is preventable by limiting your exposure to loud sounds and wearing head protection. Let's wrap up by talking about 4 key takeaways. The ear converts sound waves into electrical signals through a series of mechanical and neural processes. The external ear collects sound, the middle ear amplifies vibrations, and the inner ear converts these vibrations into electrical signals via hair cells. Pitch is determined by which region of the cochlea is activated, while volume is determined by the amplitude of sound waves and the number of activated hair cells. Hair cells are essential mechanoreceptors, and protecting them is vital for maintaining hearing. So that's it for episode 20 of Pulse of Physiology. I hope this exploration of hearing has enhanced your appreciation for the complexity of the auditory system. And if you think the auditory system is complicated, just wait until you learn how you can see things. So join me next time for episode 21, where we'll shift our focus to vision. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay curious.